Here's the reading of pages 445 to 450, and we are in part 4, chapter 1, Rome moved east, the Byzantine Empire. In the 4th century, the Emperor Constantine made two decisions that would influence the course of the human odyssey for the next millennium and beyond. First, in AD 313, Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, which made Christianity an accepted religion within the Roman Empire. Constantine's decision to legalize Christianity was a pivotal moment in Western history. Christianity began to grow at an even faster rate than before. By AD 392, it would be the official religion of the Roman Empire, East and West. Second, Constantine decided to move the imperial capital from Rome to a city in the Eastern Roman Empire called Byzantium. That city gave its name to an empire that would endure long after the Western Roman Empire was gone, the Byzantine Empire. The city of Constantine. When Constantine decided to move the capital of his empire from Rome to a new city, he considered a number of sites. One possibility was the ancient city of Troy, where, as the poet Homer sang in the Iliad, great heroes such as Achilles and Hector had engaged in epic battles. Another possible site was the holy city of Jerusalem. In the end, the emperor chose neither of these. He recognized that the cultural and economic heart of his empire was in the Greek-speaking East. Thus, he settled on Byzantium, a little-known Greek city on the banks of the Bosporus, the narrow channel of water that divides southeastern Europe from Asia Minor. Okay, so over in here. Constantine set about transforming the city on the Bosporus into a new Rome. He built defensive walls, a palace complex, public squares, theaters, baths, aqueducts, forums, and circuses. All were constructed with the same engineering skills that had made the old Rome great. But Constantine built something new. Unlike the emperors before him, Constantine built churches. In this new capital, the very buildings would proclaim the new strength of the Christian faith. By the time Constantine died in AD 337, he left a busy, thriving capital in the east. It had a new name, too. In his honor, it was named Constantinople, the city of Constantine. On the map of the Byzantine Empire at the right, locate Constantine, formerly called Byzantium. So if we look here, here's the boot, and you can see Rome's right down in here. And here is Constantinople, right over in here. The emperor's choice was indeed an inspired one. Perched on the edge of Europe, the new capital was the beating heart of a vast commercial region. From Constantinople, trade routes linked 3 continents in a network of caravan tracks, rivers, seaways, and paved imperial highways. It had been said that all roads led to Rome. Now, however, they seemed to lead to Constantinople. From Russia in the north came ships laden with furs, gold, salt, and honey. From the granaries of Egypt to the south came wheat and barley. Okay, Egypt down here, Russia up here. From India, China, and points east came ivory, porcelain, silks, and spices. To the west of Constantinople lay fertile farmland where grapes and grains grew in abundance. Okay, over in here. Constantinople grew rich. Within its walls, there accumulated more wealth than the world had ever seen. It grew big, too. Like iron fillings to a magnet, people from all over the world were attracted to the city. In time, the population swelled to about 1 million. In its streets and bazaars, its docks and marketplaces, Greeks mingled with Africans and Jews, with Syrians. There were merchants from Italy, Britain, and Gaul, diplomats from Russia and Arabia, sailors from all points of the compass. Constantinople was the great melting pot. Okay, there's some pictures and there's that map again. Okay. After Constantine's death, rule of the Roman Empire was divided between his sons and nephews. Eventually, the empire split into two parts. The Eastern Empire, ruled from Constantinople, and the Western Empire, ruled from Rome. The fate of the empire's two branches would prove the wisdom of Constantine's choice of a capital. As you learned in the 5th century, the Western Empire fell to invaders from northern Europe. But the Eastern Empire, the Byzantine Empire, would rise to great heights of glory and remain intact for more than 1,000 years. Okay, let's read this little side part over here. The East-West split in the church. You know that the Roman Empire was divided into East and West. Over time, the Christian church experienced a similar division. Slowly, over the course of the Middle Ages, the church divided into Eastern and Western branches. These two branches each followed a different leader. In the West, the Bishop of Rome, called the Pope, was the spiritual leader. In the East, a different leader, the Patriarch, headed the faithful. The Patriarch was located in Constantinople, the capital city, which became the center of the Eastern branch of Christianity. The two branches of the church were also divided by language. In the West, the language of the church was Latin. In the East, it was Greek. As decades and then centuries passed, the Eastern and Western churches developed different religious practices. By 1054, the two branches of the church disagreed on several points of teaching or doctrine. These differences also reflected political disagreements between East and West. Once the Pope in Rome and Patriarch in Constantinople excommunicated each other, that is, each branch threw the other out of the Christian church. Everyone thought that this schism, which means a split or division, would be temporary, but the schism lasted. Finally, in 1965, Pope Paul VI and the Patriarch Athenagoras lifted the excommunications, but the split remains. Today, these two branches of Christianity are known as the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church. Okay. The spread of Byzantine culture. After the fall of the Western Empire, the Byzantine Empire remained strong and grew stronger. As the era of Rome, for a time it spread its control over much of the Mediterranean. At its peak, the Byzantine Empire extended from southern Spain to the mountains of southern Spain to the mountains of Armenia, and from the Black Sea to the Danube River to the coast of North Africa. And let's go back to these pages so you can see, okay, where it spread. Okay. So there's the empire. The Eastern Empire preserved the glories of Greek and Roman culture. Eager to maintain their links with the past, the people of Constantinople adorned their public buildings with classical statues. As the old influences from the West began to blend with others from the East, a new culture, a unique Byzantine culture, began to take shape. Striking new forms of art and architecture emerged in Constantinople. The dazzling new works of art and architecture were largely inspired by the church. For above all, the Byzantine Empire was, as Constantine had intended, a Christian empire. To display their faith, the Byzantines developed an enduring style of religious art and architecture marked by bold, vibrant colors, precise geometric designs, and elaborate ornamentation. Art to dazzle the world. Constantinople's best architects and builders raised magnificent new churches. These great domed cathedrals became treasure troves of Byzantine art. Some Byzantine artists specialized in frescoes. Fresco painting required masterful technique because painters had to apply their pigments directly to plaster while it was still wet on the walls. Other artists spent painstaking hours painting on wood to create religious works of art known as icons. Icons depicted holy people and events, such as the birth of Jesus. The most spectacular works of Byzantine art were mosaics. Mosaics were elaborate murals in which small pieces of glass or stone were used to form intricate pictures. On a surface of rough, wet plaster, gifted craftsmen carefully pressed into place small stones and glass pieces of different hues, whites and pinks, grays and greens, reds and browns, glittering golds, each placed at a slight angle to the plane of the wall to heighten the reflection of light. Adorning the vaults, walls, and domes of churches, these mosaics were breathtakingly beautiful. Most mosaics represented Christian themes. And you can see here is one picture of a mosaic. And then this is a fresco right here. Let's see. In the bright sunshine of midday or the candlelight of evening, Byzantine churches glowed with the reflected light of mosaics. Byzantine craftsmen handed down their techniques and traditions as carefully as precious heirlooms. The new styles spread from Constantinople and, like an incoming tide, lapped at the shores of the Mediterranean world. Greece, the Balkans, Italy, Syria, and Egypt all were influenced by Byzantine art. It is a legacy that draws admiration and wonder to this day. That's the end of the reading of page 445 to page 450.